In the digital age, where everything is just a click away, kindness has become one of the most exalted pillars of modern coexistence. But have you ever stopped to question the limits of this virtue? It may seem contradictory, even strange, to suggest that kindness, something so widely celebrated, can have adverse effects. However, the brilliant minds of the past, such as the Stoics of antiquity, would warn us of something essential: balance in all things. In the quest to be better people, we can forget that even virtues such as generosity and compassion, when taken to excess, can have unexpected consequences. The teachings of Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius remind us that it is not just about being kind, but about knowing when, how, and how much. So before we assume that more is always better, let's explore the nuances of this question. Are our acts of kindness truly in harmony, or are we unwittingly overstepping healthy limits? Join me in this reflection on Stoicism and the art of balance as we discover how even virtues can go off kilter and teach us valuable lessons. Lesson 1. Taking on more than we can handle. Who hasn't found themselves in this situation? You're at a casual get-together with friends, and someone mentions moving house next weekend. Before you know it, your hand is in the air. I'll help. But deep down, you know you already have an endless list of tasks to complete. For the Stoics, living according to nature is about recognizing and respecting our own limits. When we commit ourselves beyond what we can handle, we're not just overextending ourselves, we're being disloyal to ourselves. Imagine your life as a cup of tea. Every promise, every responsibility is a drop. If we spill more than the cup can hold, what do we have? A mess. Seneca and his peers would advise us, know the size of your cup. This doesn't mean being cold or insensitive, but learning to be kind to yourself first and foremost. This isn't about refusing to help a friend in need, but perhaps offering support in a practical, workable way, such as helping to pack a few boxes instead of committing to a full day of hard work. Remember that time you agreed to help at the school fair, attend a party, and visit a relative, all in the same day? In the end, you ended up feeling tired, irritable, and not really present in any of the moments. That's the price of overcommitment. Next time, pause before offering. Consider what you can realistically do without sacrificing your well-being. That's not selfishness, it's applied wisdom. Lesson 2. Trying to please everyone. The age-old desire to be liked by everyone. It's a trap many of us fall into. We say yes when we mean no. We force smiles at jokes that aren't funny, and we even agree with ideas that don't resonate with us, all to avoid displeasing others. But here's a powerful lesson Stoicism teaches us: other people's opinions are beyond our control. So why base our actions on them? This relentless pursuit of pleasing others may seem like a form of kindness, but deep down, it's often driven by our own insecurities. And let's be honest, it's exhausting. When we try to please everyone, we put on masks and distance ourselves from who we really are. And all of this for what? A passing approval? I'm reminded of Tim, a charming guy who did everything he could to be accepted. One day, he wore a shirt he hated just because it was a gift from a friend. He spent the entire day feeling uncomfortable, but he chose to do so rather than risk upsetting his friend. And ironically, his friend didn't even notice the gesture. The Stoics had a clear mantra: live authentically, be true to who you are, and the people who truly matter will be drawn to that truth. As for the rest, well, the reality is that you'll never be able to please everyone. And that's okay. Choose the peace of authenticity over the burden of trying to be everything to everyone. Lesson 3. Believe that you can change people. There's an old proverb that says, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. This simple truth is echoed in Stoicism. We have no control over other people, only over how we react to them. Yet, many of us, driven by kindness and a desire to help, fall into the temptation of trying to fix those we love. We believe that our affection, our advice, or our patience can transform them. But the reality, more often than not, is different. Think of that friend who always chooses the wrong company. You listen to their frustrations, give them honest advice, and maybe even try to introduce them to better people. And yet, they continue to go through the same cycles, making the same mistakes. It's frustrating, isn't it? But the truth is that each person is on their own journey. Stoicism teaches us to focus on our actions and to let go of the desire to control what is beyond our control. While it's noble to reach out and help, we can't walk another person's path for them. This lesson can be challenging, especially when we care deeply. But sometimes the kindest act we can offer is to give space, to allow others to make their own decisions, even if it means watching them make mistakes. After all, it's in experience, and even in failure, that we learn. Lesson 4. Allowing others to abuse your kindness. Kindness is an admirable virtue, but like anything, too much of it can have unintended consequences. When we are always available, always willing to help, and never say no, we end up creating a pattern. And over time, people can start to take it for granted, not out of malice but out of habit. Remember Lucy at the office? At first, she brought home homemade treats that everyone loved. But over time, what was once a generous gesture became an expectation. The day she didn't bring anything, there were murmurs of discontent. The result? Lucy felt ignored and unappreciated, as if her efforts no longer meant anything. The Stoics have a lesson for this. Just as we shouldn't get too attached to external rewards, we shouldn't let others get too used to our acts of kindness. When we give without measure, we forget something essential: balance. Being kind doesn't mean being limitless. Setting boundaries is a way to protect your energy and ensure that your actions are genuine, not obligatory. Make it clear that your kindness is a valuable gift, not something automatic or required. Because at the end of the day, neglecting yourself to please others is never a demonstration of true altruism. Lesson number 5. Forgetting to take care of yourself. In our desire to be kind and available to others, we often put our own needs on the back burner. It seems like a noble act, but as the Stoics remind us, self-care isn't selfish, it's wisdom. If we neglect ourselves, how can we truly help others in need? Think of yourself like a car. If you don't refuel it, how will it keep going? Eventually, it will stall, unable to go anywhere. The same thing happens when we prioritize others above all else. Eventually, we become exhausted, unable to keep going. My friend Alex is an example of this. He was always there for everyone, always saying yes and always putting himself last. Until one day, he couldn't take it anymore. Exhausted, angry, and unappreciated, he exploded. It wasn't pretty, but it was the reflection of years of ignoring his own needs. The Stoics understood that taking care of yourself is essential to facing life's challenges. Practicing reflection and self-care gives us the strength to face the world with clarity and balance. So, take some time for yourself. Set aside moments to recharge your energy, take care of your emotions, and prioritize your well-being. After all, a healthy mind and a well-nourished soul are essential tools for navigating the chaos around us. Don't neglect the most important person in your life, yourself. Lesson number 6. Avoid disagreements at all costs. Nobody likes conflict. It's uncomfortable, embarrassing, and often leaves a bitter taste. That's why we often choose the seemingly easiest route. We let it go. We keep our opinions to ourselves, swallow our feelings, and move on, believing that we're being kind. But Stoicism offers us a different perspective. Avoiding confrontation may seem like the best solution at the time, but in the long run, it often causes bigger problems. Small unresolved irritations can turn into big resentments, while pent-up feelings lead to misunderstandings that are difficult to repair. Think of the common situation. Your roommate always left the sink full of dirty dishes. At first, you cleaned it, thinking you were being polite and avoiding conflict. But over time, the annoyance grew, piling up along with the dishes. Until one day, something trivial triggered an explosion, not over the dishes, but over the sum total of everything that was left behind. The Stoics teach us that facing challenges head-on is healthier. It's not about fighting, but about resolving issues while they're still small. Having an honest conversation early on can save you headaches later on. This is true altruism, resolving issues for the good of all. Avoiding conflict may seem like a kind gesture, but true kindness lies in dealing with situations openly and evenly before they escalate to undesirable proportions. Lesson 7. Give more than you can. Generosity is an admirable virtue, but like any virtue, it can become a problem when taken to extremes. In our desire to help and be kind, we often end up giving more than we have, whether it's time, money, or energy. While the intention is honorable, the impact can be detrimental to both ourselves and those around us. Imagine this: if you keep taking money out of your bank account to help others, you'll eventually run out of money. And when you reach that point, how can you help anyone else? The Stoics remind us of the importance of moderation. Generosity isn't about emptying everything we have, but about finding a balance between giving and preserving. I met Sarah, a woman with a huge heart. She would often lend money to friends in need. Her intention was admirable, but over time, it led her to face financial hardships of her own. And when Sarah needed help, she realized that those who had received her generosity weren't there to reciprocate. It was a tough lesson, but an eye-opening one. Being generous doesn't mean neglecting your own needs. Stoicism teaches that in order to give sustainably, it's essential to take care of yourself first. Making sure you're okay allows your generosity to be consistent and effective, rather than a draining sacrifice. It's not about being stingy, it's about being responsible. By finding that balance, you can help others in more meaningful and lasting ways. Lesson 8. Seeking approval from others. We live in an age where acts of kindness are often accompanied by social media posts. Sharing good deeds is not wrong, but the question we need to ask ourselves is, why are we doing it? Is it out of genuine compassion, or are we just seeking likes and validation? Marcus Aurelius, in his timeless wisdom, advised us, don't waste any more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This teaching reminds us that true virtue lies in our actions, not in the recognition they receive. While sharing generous gestures can inspire others, it is essential that the motivation be genuine. When kindness becomes a currency for the approval of others, it loses its authenticity. The Stoics teach us to focus on the intrinsic value of our actions, doing good for the simple sake of it. This is the heart of true virtue. In today's world, where clicks and likes rule, it is easy to forget the simplicity of this teaching. But the wisdom of the Stoics invites us to rediscover what it truly means to be virtuous, away from external expectations. So when practicing kindness, ask yourself, am I doing this to be admired or because I believe it is the right thing to do? When we embrace kindness selflessly, we not only cultivate virtue but also honor who we truly are. Let these reflections be a powerful reminder. The approval that matters most is not outside, but within.